that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. And today we're excited to check out BigFootses, the card game from BigFootses Games. This is for 2 to 6 players, ages 12 and up, and it'll take about 60 to 90 minutes to play. And in BigFootses, the card game, you are going to be trying to catch the most BigFootses. Trying to catch them and gain their delicious, delicious points. Trying to be the first person to get to a set number of points. But along the way, you're going to encounter witches and various different shenanigans and crazy events and all sorts of good stuff. Let's open it up, see how it works. Alright, we're going to take a look at BigFootses, the card game, on our handy-dandy grip mat, which turns every game into a space game. So first and foremost, we got our handy-dandy rule sheet. It is 2 pages, double-sided, full color. It will have you up and running in no time. This is a pretty simple game, and this really does a very good job at teaching you the game. I will say there's one really weird, gross oversight that I noticed. It doesn't impact gameplay. I just was wondering how it snuck by them, where it says you can take 1 of 4 actions, but they clearly list 5 actions. So that I thought that was a little bit bizarre that snuck by them, but like I mentioned, doesn't impact gameplay, and otherwise very well done rule booklet. So in this game, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be trying to get the first person to get to a set number of victory points. You're going to be getting to these victory points by catching various different BigFootses throughout the woods, and some will be more or less difficult to deal with than others. You're going to be doing this by rolling dice and putting them into your corral. That doesn't make any sense to you. Let's go over the components a little bit more, and it will start to make some more sense to you. So, first thing, we went over the rule booklet. Next, you're going to get some really nice looking dice. There's one custom side on these dice, as you can see right here, but you can tell they're very nicely made dice. Very cool. They could have just put in some plain dice, but these are really, really nice. And each person's going to be getting one of those. Next, you're going to be getting cards, and more cards. Let's go over the different cards. The first one, you're going to have these big, oversized, tarot-sized cards here. And each person is going to have their own unique profession that they're going to have. And they do play drastically different. They're going to give you various different special abilities. So asymmetrical powers in this game. And the one thing I like about this is you're going to have an action that you can use your 1 action per turn, because in this game you're going to be able to do only 1 action per turn. So you could do this special ability, but if you don't want to do an action per turn, you're also always going to have a passive ability, which will give you another unique special ability that you don't have to use an action on. So I like that an awful lot. So for instance, you have the rancher here. Her special action she can take, and this will use up her turn, is you have at least 2 BigFootses in your corral, and there's a baby Bigfoot in the discard pile. You may discard a thingies card, which are these cards over here, we'll get more into in a minute, and take the baby and place it in your corral. So essentially, you're going to be able to get rid of one of the cards in your hand and gain a victory point if there's a certain card in the discard pile. So that's a really cool special ability. Now, her passive ability is that your corral is now protected, because there are some events that will come, and like there's men in black that will steal one of your BigFootses, and aliens might come up and take some of them, so it's nice to have it protected. Your BigFootses cannot be taken, rustled, freed, or abducted, nor can they escape. So she's got an passive ability that's going to protect her BigFootses, and she might potentially be able to get a free BigFootses out of a pile just by using that as a special ability. But there's tons of different ones. I think there's 8 or 9, and they all have their own unique powers. So those are going to be the professions that you're going to get. Next, there's going to be 2 kinds of cards here. There's woods and there's thingies. But before we get to that, let's get to our handy-dandy little cheat card, which I'm always a big fan of. However, you may notice that the typing on this is super, super tiny, which is annoying. But I will say this is a very, very well-done reference rules card. Like this, on your second or third time, is probably going to almost replace the rules for you once you're in the game. So it's very well done, but the type is so small. So that's pretty annoying, but I will say this has all the stuff you're going to need to know when you get into the game. So, next we have our Woods cards and we have our Thingies cards. Now, Woods cards are what you're going to be potentially doing to try and find your Bigfoots, which are going to give you points. I believe, what are the point structures? In a 2 to 4 player game, you'll be trying to get 10 points or 10 Bigfootses. 5 player game, 8, 6 player, 7. So, depending on how many players you have, you're going to get different amounts of points. So in the woods, what are you going to find? Well, you're going to find witches. They'll have different effects that will last through the game until a new witch comes out. And they will spice up the game a little bit. For instance, this one, I believe, now all your woods cards and your thingies cards are going to be face up. The top one is. So it'll be like this. So you'll know exactly what you're getting into depending on which pile you go to. So that's not a bad one, but some will have some negative effects. There's events that will happen that will do various different things. Obviously, there's going to be BigFootses in the woods, so you're trying to catch. This one only has a skill level of 2, so it'll be really easy to catch. So that's a good one to run into. There's going to be creatures, which you're going to potentially have to fight. And if you can't successfully fight them, they will break your equipment, which is not good. But there's mostly going to be Bigfoots, creatures, events, and witches in this pile. So a lot of different stuff. I mean, as you can see, the artwork is very tongue-in-cheek, kind of Simpson-esque. So that's going to be what's in the woods. Next, you're going to have your thingies cards. Now, I do want to say, if you're familiar with Munchkins, this is essentially like kicking down the door, and this is essentially like the treasure that you're going to be getting. So let's take a look at some of the thingies. There'll be equipment, and you'll allowed to have up to 3 equipment in front of you. That will give you skill and various other different things. There'll be items that you can play on your turn. So, for instance, this one, you'll be able to go through the discard pile of the Bigfoots and fight whatever Bigfoots you want that's in the pile. Lucky dice, play anytime a die is rolled. The target player must re-roll the dice. You can play that on you or your opponent. So there's going to be tons of different equipment. There's also what are called shenanigans, and these are going to be cards that you can play at any time, even when it's not your turn, that are going to have various different abilities. Sleight of hand, pick any card from the thingy's discard pile and swap it with this card. So that one's going to give you a really good card, potentially, out of the discard. There's one called, oh no, you did it, which cancels out a special ability or event. There's ones that'll let you carry more things in your hand, and there's weapons. There's all sorts of different things in the thingy's pile. There's actually quite a lot going on in the thingies piles. So we got the woods cards, we got the thingies cards. We've talked about everything. Let's get into how the gameplay works real quick. And as I mentioned, you're only going to have one action on your turn. So it's actually a very simple game at its heart. Everybody would get their own unique special profession. We're not going to go too much into that right now. And then you're going to draw 5 thingies cards, and then you're going to start the game. Now, on your turn, you're going to have one of 5 options you can do. We're going to go into that real quick. So, first thing you can do is you can draw 1 woods card, flip it over, and deal with whatever it is. If it's a Bigfoot, you might have to fight it. If it's a creature, you'll have to fight. Well, if it's a Bigfoot, you'll try and capture it. If it's a creature, you'll try and fight it. Or if it's an event, you'll just do whatever the event is. So there'll be various different things you're going to do. Next, you can go to work. That means you'll be able to use your special ability up here. And that will be your entire action. You'll just do that, and whatever it is, you will do that. Next option you have is to rummage. So for instance, let's just say I don't like the cards in my hand. They are not good cards. I don't like them. This will allow you to get up to 3 cards from the thingies pile. And the way this works is the less points you have, so the closer you are to, the further you are from winning the game, the more thingies cards you're going to get. Whereas as you get closer and closer to winning, you're actually going to get 0 cards. So if you're at 7 to 9 points, you'll get 0 cards out of this deck. Whereas when you first start, you can just rummage through there all you want and get really good cards. It kind of speeds up the game a little bit at the beginning, but then at the end, it's like, oh crud, I can't draw any cards because I have 7 points. Next, you can restock, which means you're going to be able to discard as many cards as you wish from your hand and draw an equal number of thingies cards. So there's some other ways to get thingies cards, even when you're at a higher level. The last option you can do is you can retrain yourself. So let's pretend you don't want to be the rustler anymore. You can randomly draw one of these cards and get a completely new profession, which will potentially change how you're going to play the game. So you can do one of those 5 actions, and then your turn's over. So as you can see, the gameplay is very, very simple. So one thing I want to mention is that on your turn, you'll be able to play one and only one equipment card in front of you. These are equipment cards right here. So you can do that either before you take your action or after you take your action, but you can't do that while you take your action. You can't just wait and say, oh, I need to put down my gun because I'm facing a Bigfoot. So we might start off and we'd say, all right, I like this extra die card. It's actually one of my favorite cards in the game. Essentially what this is going to do is you're going to get 1 extra dice. So instead of rolling 1 die when you have a skill check, you'll be rolling 2 die and you get to pick the number you want. If you roll doubles, though, you have to discard this card. So we'll play that down in front of us, and then we will go searching through the woods so we can show you how combat works in this game, or trying to capture it. Oh my goodness, it's like I wanted this card to pop up. So we flipped over Tim, who is a level 4. So we're going to have at least 4 on our die to capture Tim. Now, how this works is, if you had any other Bigfoots in your corral over here, so let's say we had this guy and this guy, you would get that many skill points. So, for instance, if I had these two guys right here in my corral on my side of the table, I would instantly be starting with a 2. But since I don't have any, I'm going to be starting with a 0. But luckily for me, I have an extra die. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll both of my dice, since I have my extra die, and I have to get at least a 4 or higher to catch Tim. Now, there is one unique twist in this, is that if you ever get a 1, you instantly fail. So even if you have like a 20 or a 25, and you're going up against like a level 6, if you get a 1, you don't capture it. So that's no good. So roll them up. I did get a 1, which stinks, but since I have the extra die, I can take this 5 instead, cancel out the 1, and I would capture Tim. I would be 1 victory point closer to winning the game, and also I would be I would have 1 additional skill the next time I roll the die. So at the end of your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure you have 5 cards or less. You're going to discard down to 5 cards. Your opponent's going to take their turn, and you're going to go around the table laying down 1 equipment time at a turn, playing shenanigans and items and modifiers, all sorts of different things, trying to capture Bigfoots, dealing with creatures and witches, and all sorts of different things. And the first person to get whatever to the set amount of points is going to be the winner of Bigfoots, the card game. And that, in a nutshell, is how the game is played. Alright then, BigFootses, the card game from BigFootses Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. Before we do that, though, I do want to address a concern a lot of people have had with this game, is that it is just a re-theme of Munchkin. And I think if you play the game, you're definitely going to see a lot of core similarities there. But I think this game definitely does enough different and enough unique things and enough really cool things that having both Munchkin and Bigfootses on your shelf is not going to feel like a disservice to either game. So if you like Munchkin, I wholeheartedly recommend this game. I think you're going to like it an awful lot, but I'll get more into that in the pros part. I am just speaking about the base Munchkin, Munchkin Deluxe. I don't know about all the expansions. I haven't played all the expansions, but just vanilla Munchkin in this game, I definitely think they play differently enough that having both is warranted if you like this style of game. But moving on to the pros and cons. First, on the con side, this game has a lot of take that. It is similar to Munchkin in that aspect where you're trying to get up to a certain number of points. And once somebody gets to that point threshold where they're about to win the game, everyone's just going to be like attacking them. And you're like, ah, crap, I can't win this turn. So if you don't like that aspect, and there's a lot of attacking in here, there's shenanigan cards that attack there, and events from the game will attack you. There's a lot of attacking going on in this game. So if you're not the biggest fan of take that games, this one probably won't be for you. Also, graphic design, artwork looks really, really good, but there's some graphic design quibbles here and there. They're minor things, but they're things that since I see a lot of games, I notice that just don't look. They could have used another level of polish. I mentioned the rule booklet is well done, but the graphic design is. Also, the little reference card I mentioned in this middle part of the view, the type is way too teeny tiny, and that is annoying. The last big con I have of this game is that if you're planning on playing this just 2 players, if you want to play this 2 players with a spouse or something like that, I don't know if I'd really recommend it. In fact, I don't think I would. 2 players. It's not the best 2 players. I think 4 and 5 and 6, especially when everybody knows how to play, is where this game hits its stride. 3's not bad, but definitely probably not going to recommend this if you're just planning on playing it with 2 players. Moving on to the pros. I like Bigfoots as the card game. I'm a light fan of Munchkin. I enjoy Munchkin from time to time. I don't particularly like too much take that, but I like how they do it in this game. And so I'm definitely recommending this game. I enjoyed it. So what do I like about it? First and foremost, components. Very nice. Sturdy box, good box insert. They got the custom die with the Bigfoot on it. They didn't need to do that. It cost them extra money, but they did it anyway, and I like that. Cards, strong, durable. They got the tarot cards, profession cards. The game just looks like it was a little bit of a labor of love, which is something you always like to see in a game. Next, artwork and humor. Artwork, you know, I can take or leave artwork. I play a lot of games where I just hate the artwork. I love the artwork in this game. It looks like it was illustrated by a creator of The Simpsons. And I like that an awful lot. I also like the humor in this game an awful lot. Every once in a while, you're just going to pop up with a card. It's just going to make you chuckle because the humor in this game is fun and it's funny. I will say it's a little bit on the lowbrow side, so if you're sophisticated or sophisticant or whatever it's called, you might not like the humor in the game. But the artwork is very well done. All the Bigfootses look different. They look funny. The events are funny. Some of the shenanigans are funny. I like the humor and the artwork in this game a lot, which for me personally puts a big leg up on Munchkin because the humor really didn't scratch my itch, and the artwork likewise wasn't the biggest. It was okay, but I wasn't a big fan of it. So artwork and humor definitely shine through on this. Another big pro I have on this game is that the gameplay is so incredibly simple that it just goes boom, 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 boom. Once you know how you're playing, it's just like, here's my action, I did it, it's your turn. Here's my action, I did it, roll the dice, it's your turn. Here's my action, I did it. Like, it can go very, very quick once you know what you're doing. Overall, I really enjoyed BigFootses as a card game. I'm going to keep it on my shelf, and if you put a katana to my face and said, pick one, Munchkin or BigFootses, I'm going to have a hard time on that, because Munchkin, you're going to get all those expansions, you can go get them, you can mix them all in there, but I haven't played all those expansions. Just as a pure base game, I enjoyed BigFootses better than Munchkins. However, if you have someone in your life who likes Munchkin, or you like Munchkin, I think they will definitely enjoy this game. It's an awful lot of fun, and it's one that I am going to be giving a thumbs up to. So that was BigFootses, the card game from BigFootses Game. It looks like it might be your cup of tea. Go check it out. Also, if you enjoyed this content, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below. But in the comments below, let me know, what is your favorite cell phone game? I got a lot of free time, downtime at my work sometimes, so I play some games from here to there. I used to be addicted to Candy Crush. I had a problem. I play a little Empire. I play a lot of board games. I play a lot of board games on Android. But let me know, what's your favorite cell phone game down in the comments below if you play cell phone games, because I'm always looking for some new good ones. Especially free ones are always good. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.
That was a review for BigFootses the card game. For more reviews and previews, check back at Bauer's Game Corner.